Good afternoon, sir. Our topic for today is elements, compounds, and mixtures. So, what is elements? An element is a pure substance that cannot be broken down into any other substances. An element is made from just one type of atom, and examples include oxygen, hydrogen, and iron. Some elements exist as individual atoms, but some exist as molecules. So, as you can see, there are 118 chemical elements. They are listed on the periodic table in the specific order. The periodic table can be divided into metals and non-metals. Metals are found on the left and in the middle, whereas non-metals are on the right. There is a zigzag diagonal line dividing metals and non-metals in the periodic table. Hydrogen doesn't fit into this grouping and is placed over the table. This is because of hydrogen's atomic structure. So, hydrogen is the first element listed in the periodic table. We use the symbol H for hydrogen. It is an example gas which burns with a very clear squeaky pop when a burning splint is inserted into a test tube containing it. Helium is the second element in the periodic table and has the symbol He or He. Helium is also a gas but it is very different from hydrogen because it doesn't take part in any chemical reactions. Helium is used for party balloons because it is lighter than air. 24 chemical elements up to platinum occur naturally on Earth and elsewhere in the universe. The heaviest elements are made by humans using nuclear reactions, but these elements cannot be seen in this version of periodic table. Particle diagrams elements. Particle diagrams elements can be used to show the atoms of elements. All of the atoms in a particle diagram must be the same color and size. A particle a particle diagram can represent a solid element, a liquid element, or a gaseous element. A solid element is the particles are close together and arranged in a regular way. Second is a liquid element. A liquid element is the particles are close together and arranged in a random way. Lastly is a gaseous element. Gaseous element is the particles are far apart and randomly placed. Molecules is some non-metal elements are composed of atoms bonded to clusters called molecules. The next one is compounds. A compound is a pure substance composed of multiple elements. In compounds, the elements are chemically bonded and therefore very difficult to separate. When a compound is made, the atoms of the elements are bonded in a certain proportion. This means that all compounds can be represented by chemical formulas. There are three particle diagrams of compounds. The first one is the H2O. H2O is the water molecules are composed of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. The hydrogen is the white atom and the oxygen is the red atom. Water has a specific ratio of 2 hydrogen atoms to 1 oxygen atom. The second one is the CO2 or carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide molecule is composed of two elements, carbon and oxygen. Carbon is the black atom and oxygen is the red atom. Carbon dioxide has a specific ratio is 1 made up of two elements, carbon and oxygen. Carbon is the black atoms and oxygen is the red atoms. Lastly is the non-metals. When a compound of a non-metal element binds, it usually forms a molecule. Compounds containing both metallic and non-metallic elements do not form molecules. They looks completely different. This is called agreed. This is called agreed. If you zoom in on this 3D particle diagram of sodium chloride, you'll see the same number of metallic. Sodium atoms is the gray and the chlorine atom is the green one because the formula is NaCl or the sodium chloride. So the next one is the mixtures. The mixtures are formed when two or more elements or compounds are present without being chemically bonded. Mixtures are not in specific quantities or ratios like compounds. Two hydrogen atoms for each oxygen atom in water. They can be in any combination. For example, in the case of mixture of sand and water, there is a lot of sand and a lot of water. In a mixture, the two components can be separated by a physical process without chemical reaction. This is because they are not chemical bonded. Examples: um, the mixture of sand and water can be separated by filtration. The second one is the salt and water solutions can be separated by crystallization or distillation. The last one is a mixture of iron powder and sulfur powder can be separated with a magnet. A particle diagram of a mixture can include atoms and molecules, but they are not bonded together. So this one is the example. This particle diagram shows air. Air is a mixture which is made mainly nitrogen molecules or the yellow one, and oxygen molecules is the red one. This particle diagram shows a mixture made up of water and carbon dioxide. The water molecules each have two white hydrogen atoms and one red oxygen atom, or the H2O. The carbon dioxide molecules each have one black carbon atom and two red oxygen atoms, or CO2. So that's all, sir. Thank you for listening.